Hello everyone, how are you today? We are out back here, primarily with the tomatoes. After we got that rain, we've had this steady cool down happening, and it's nice, but some of my plants that need the warmth, that really need the warmth, are just kind of not real thrilled with the 20-degree drop. But we are going to focus primarily this morning on the tomato situation. Dun, 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 dun. And it's been a while since I have done a video directly on tomatoes. Joys of city living. So I am actually going to, in this video, explain my process for pruning and maintaining my tomato plants. Typically by this time of the year, my tomatoes are starting to die. Just our warm weather, humid weather here in the south is not conducive to keeping tomato plants real long term. So this is a little bit different, of course, but that's okay. I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to get you set up real quickly, and hopefully I can get you in a fairly decent spot because we're on the ridge line here, so there's a hill. So I need to get you positioned, and then I will show you what I'm going to do, because the other problem that I'm looking at, see, all of this here that's falling over is like 2 foot taller than our trellis, because our trellis is down here and they're there. So I'm thinking that the best I can hope for in this situation is that by thinning out some of the excess foliage on these guys, number one, will create airflow. Number two, will lighten the plant, so hopefully the main stalk will kind of right itself. And then number three, if there's any bugs nibbling on anything in there, I'll be able to find them and dispose of said bugs. But let me go on ahead and get you set up and show you what this pruning and trimming is going to look like. Okay, let's go. All right, I think I've got you in here as best as I am able. So this is literally a foliage for the tomato plant situation. But this down here, this is actually the very top of our tomato plant. Now, some of you may be asking, why not just go ahead and cut off the top? Well, because if you top it, that's basically the end of it. Just like with a tree, or actually with most plants, if you top them, they stop growing, they stop living, they stop thriving. That's just a natural inclination. These are not technically like hedge bush variety things that you can treat that way. So we have a lot of foliage. Now, if you're in a dry climate, you don't really have to worry so much about the amount of foliage because you're dry. Here in the south, we do tend to get blight. That is a common disease that it's windborne. It happens when there's moisture in the air. It happens when there's moisture on your plant. And it actually has, like, decimated all of our tomato plants. So when it hits, it usually hits hard, and oftentimes there's not a whole heck of a lot you can do about it. You can, if you catch it quickly, treat it with a peroxide, treat the soil with peroxide, and you may be able to save the tomato plant. However, I have noticed that they do still tend to struggle to recover after that point. But what we are going to do is thin out this foliage, because I don't know if you can see it, but they're dripping with water, which is, I mean, great considering that we've had a very dry year. But that's also what is weighing them down in this situation. And I'm literally just going to go in, and I'm not going to cut off all of the foliage, because you want to leave certain foliages. So let me see if I can find it, for instance. Here we go. Okay. So you can see we've got leaves, foliage, and then here we've got tomato plants. And granted, these tomatoes on this tomato plant are technically on a slightly separate vine, so I could actually cut off this guy here, but I definitely want to leave the main. However, we're going to do a comparison now to right here. We're going to turn the plant just a little bit. You see this foliage branch here? It's just a branch. There's nothing there. Those are the ones that I am looking for, primarily. Plants need foliage in order to photosynthesize, in order to grow, in order for oxygen to be converted, etc., 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 and in order for you to have fruit. However, tomatoes don't need as much foliage as what you are seeing here. So we're going to thin that out. Number one, it's going to make it easier for me to do my best to sort of trellis these. And then it's also going to potentially help prevent any blight, since we are later in the season than we typically are for setting fruit. I don't want to risk losing the fruit that I have on the vine. This should help that, create airflow, and just keep the main plant healthier longer. Also, this is going to help me find any pests in here that may be trying to munch, because it's that time of the year. You know, they know it just like I know it, and they're going to try and fatten up for winter. So we are just going to go in and we're going to cut off things like this. And it does at first take a little bit of hunting and pecking, because you don't want to cut off the wrong branches. Try not to do damage to your main branches. I think I just clipped that one. If you do, don't berate yourself too badly. I'm pretty sure your tomato plant will still live. I know I've mistakenly cut things and they have still grown. But just try and be careful. Okay. That. Let me show you this one. Let's see if you can see this here. Alright, so you see that? See how it's naked? or, well, mostly naked, that's what I'm going for at this point. Because I just need to be able to corral this and hopefully at least lock it in with the top of our trellis at the minimum. Because, I mean, this hanging over isn't going to work for long. We're going to be lucky if we don't have some main trunks that have already snapped with the weight of the water that was put on them. So I'm going to go on ahead. I'm going to put you on hyperlapse because this part is going to be a little slow, a little tedious. I'm going to take my time. And I don't want you to get too bored here, okay? Alright, interrupting video to show you. Okay, so we've got this main trunk. And then we have that right there. I don't have a choice but to cut it. What I will do is I will set the fruit aside because there is still an off chance that they will ripen for me in the house on the counter. And that's worth at least a shot. So a little sad because it's topped, so I don't know what's going to happen from there with this plant, but nothing I can do about it now. Got to keep going. Okay, let's get back to that hyperlapse. Alright, so I'm still working on the exact same thing at this point. We've been out here for about an hour. You're probably going to ask why I'm bothering with doing this since it's so close to the end of the year. And I could let this totally go if I wanted to. But we haven't had a great year as far as tomato growth is concerned. Actually, nobody that I know has had a really great tomato year. So if that's you, it's not actually you. But I'm thinking that the bumper crop that I do have on the vine is probably gonna be it. So what is here is most likely going to be all that we're going to have for this year. So I'm going to spend an hour, 2 hours of my time, however long it really takes, to protect the tomatoes that I've got here. And I'm actually clearing out tomatoes that aren't looking like they're going to be viable. I don't want to attract pests with fruit that's not in great shape. And since I'm out here, I might as well deal with it now. Which kind of brings me to this next point. As somebody who has lived with chronic illness my whole life, I've had people ask and question why I bother with doing things like this. Why do you go through this much work, this much effort, this much energy? And I'm going to tell you that it is because the garden doesn't care. The garden doesn't care. The garden doesn't mind that maybe I'm not on point like I should be one day. I really just think my garden cares that I'm out here with it. So if you are someone who is dealing with chronic illness, I'm sorry. I do understand. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But get out, get you a garden going, and get out in it. Do what you can. Don't worry about the rest of it. Just get out there, do what you can. And you'll be surprised, because honestly, my garden rarely, if ever, asks my opinion or my permission on what it does in general. So things like I'm doing right now are more for my benefit, really, than they are for its. Because it's just going to follow its natural life cycle. If I left it alone, it'd just do its thing. Set what fruit it could, peter out without my intervention. But I'm getting out here and I'm doing this for myself, my family, because I want tomatoes. And decent day today. I will say that, thank the Lord. Grateful for every good day I get. but it's okay when I'm not. Ooh, I wonder where that branch went. And on the days when I'm not feeling good, I've learned just to not worry about it. My performance is not my garden's concern. Sorry about that. I think I had you flipped. Weird. We're just gonna say that the tomatoes did to you what they did to you. Oh. Okay. We've also got rain coming. I don't wanna be out here trying to shore things up in the middle of a downpour. We're praying that it downpours. You know, all the farmers and ranchers they're struggling. If I'm struggling, they're in a world of hurt. And that's not good for any of us. Doesn't matter where you live, it's not good for any of us. Alright. I hate it when I have to cut off tomatoes like that. Oh well, nothing I can do, right? Nothing I can do about it. Okay. I'm getting close. Getting close to being done here. So I'm going to put you on hyperlapse. And I'll see you in a few minutes. A little bit of shade here. Hour and a half, and I have one bed done. Granted, it's the bed with the most tomatoes in it. At least I found the peppers again. They should be able to get the sun that they need now. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sign off this video. So guys, I hope you enjoyed. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions on how I do tomato maintenance that maybe I didn't address in this video, go on ahead and drop a comment down below. And I will see you guys on the next one. So, as always, keep it simple, natural, and essential. I'll talk to you later.